I have never heard that like I just heard that. Do you ever do that when you read a book? All of a sudden you go back and, so it's even, so it happens. So remember that the thing itself is creative intelligence, is that divine being that is within each and every one of us. So when he says the thing itself, it means God. It's the presence. It's the, and the way it works is it works through our thinking. It works through our perception of it. So we are each individualized expressions of God. And remember that beautiful saying, there's a power in the universe that you can, it's greater than you are, and again, you can use it. There's a power in the universe, it's greater than you are, and you can use it. And that's something that's another one that we've probably all heard, change your thinking, change your life. So that's the thing itself and how it works. And it works by when we change our thinking about something. So now we get into the meat and potatoes of what it does and how it works. What it does is we draw from a universal intelligence, okay? We're a spirit, and each one of us is an individualization of that spirit. So I want you to look at your neighbor and say, you are a divine expression of God. Do you believe it? Okay. That's what we're doing here. And everybody's like, oh God, I don't know you. How do I know you're a divine expression? You could say, well, bless your pointy little head. You're a divine expression. Those are just people you're mad at. You can say, I know you're a divine expression. I know you are. Our belief sets restrictions for how much we can realize. Our belief sets the restrictions, how much good we can realize. You're like, huh? Wait a second. I didn't ask for this stuff to happen in life, did I? Wait a second. How we respond to life is how life is going to respond to us. Yeah, I always give the example, and I don't know where, I was in a store day, and this woman was like, God, I just had the crankiest customer. You're so nice to me, and I just had the crankiest customer. And she goes, I can't shake it. I go, wait a second. I always give this example. Pigpen in Peanuts, and he walks around with that halo of dirt around him, right? Some people are like that. Certainly no one in this room. But there are people like that, right? They have that negative energy, and then you walk away, and you're like, remember, fluff your aura. Fluff your aura after you're done with those people, because you don't want that energy with you. It's like we don't want to attract that. We want to attract good and only good. And we want to just fill our minds with good and only good. And some people go, well, wait a second, aren't you acting like Pollyanna then, like you're pretending like nothing's wrong? No. This teaching reminds us that there are principles. There is a law. Just like there's a law of gravity, there's a law of action. There's a law of life that says for every action you put out there, there's going to be a reaction. So the more good that you put out there, the higher your vibration. When you magnify that absolute vibration, everything that comes back to you will be in that reign. I was having all day and listening to some beautiful stories of people said, I had this situation happen, and I was broken down because I accidentally stepped on the gas instead of the brake, and I was going in reverse and into a guy's car, and she goes, I froze. And she goes, I thought, I know better than this. I'm a practitioner practicing this teaching for a long. How could I have done this? And she said, I just froze. And the guy came up, he goes, you know what? You barely tapped me. We're all good. Go ahead and go. It's just like, wow. Well, guess what happened there? It's because that thinking, it's like you're all prayed up. That thinking sets the tone for the next that's going to happen. And so you're ready, no matter what it is, you can deal with on a higher level because you've fortified that muscle of knowing goodness in your experience. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So you just pray up. You stay in that, you know what? I live in a universe that loves and supports me at every level that I am, but it can only do for me what it can do through me. And what does that mean? It means through my thinking. Remember, we always create everything in thought, and then it becomes physical. But it has to be a thought first. So when you want to create things in your life, it's where we're focusing our thought. You don't like what's showing up in your life, go back to here. Go back to the thought and say, what are my thoughts? And now we'll dive into this in a little minute, but the thoughts are created not only by the thought we're thinking today or something we see on the news or whatever. It's a build-up of all things we've been raised since we were kids. You ever be around kids, they get it. Do you notice that? Kids get it. They're like, and I was talking to a gal yesterday, and she teaches young kids, and she goes, I got a little 4-year-old that comes up and goes, I am the divine expression of God and all good things are happening to me. She goes, she's 4. She goes, I felt like going, when are you teaching your next class? Because it's like, oh my gosh. Because kids get it because they don't have that filter. But then they get older and stuff happens and they go to school and they're told they're smart or they can't do math or whatever it is that we've been told that we file away in our mind and we hang on to that and that becomes our reality. But that's not reality. We are living in a universe, and this teaching reminds us. And this teaching isn't the first that ever taught it. I mean, long before Ernest Holmes wrote his first book in 1926, and it wasn't The Science of Mind. It was this thing called You, I think. But I'm not sure on that, but I think it was. But anyway, before him, there was divine science. There was Jesus. There were other masters before Jesus that said the same thing. What you think about will produce the results, and you want results? Dial into that spirit that's within you, because we're going to go into how it works now. There's a law of cause and effect. There is a law of cause and effect. For every action, there's a reaction. For everything that you put out there. But think about this. Our belief sets the limit to our demonstrations in our life. It sets the limits because God is limitless. We don't look back at God and go, oh, you know what? You shortchanged me. She got all the good looks and the talent and all that stuff. I got kind of gypped, right? No, not happening. It's what our thought is. What are we producing in our own life? What are we creating? How much can one demonstrate? As much as one can believe. Think about that. Where's your belief system? What are you believing in? What are you believing in? So there's a power for good in the universe. We can use it. The whole universe of infinite substance is centered in you and me. Now think about that. So we have that beautiful expression that says, don't go to God and tell God how limited you are. Go to your conditions and tell them how great your God is instead, right? So the thing is that God is operating through us, but we recognize it. If we don't recognize it, we feel like we have to do it all by ourselves. Time to roll up my sleeves. Now I got to really work on stuff. No. Sometimes it's just about being present. I spent a whole afternoon in workshops focused on being present to the good, being aware of things, even if things are kind of not so hotsy-totsy. When a gardener plants a cotton seed, he doesn't expect a pear. When he plants something, he expects what he plants. Sometimes we've planted the wrong seed, we don't even know. Go back to where your thinking was. Think about what you think about all day. Think about the energy that you're putting out in the world. If it's not so great, let it go. Let it go. I remember seeing an interview of a man, he was celebrating his 104th birthday, and they said, what's your secret? He goes, I don't let anything bug me. I'm like, what? He goes, no, I don't. He goes, I don't let anything. I can't be bothered. You know what? The stress gets my heart pounding and all that stuff. I watch people get so in a tizzy about stuff. Don't want to do it. I just say, okay, you know what? We'll figure it out. And he went on. And I thought, that's how he lived to be 100. And he looked really young, too. I mean, he really did. So it was like, jeepers. So if a thought has created a limitation, all you need to do is to create a new thought that undoes the limitation. Doesn't that sound elementary? You go, what? What are you talking about? Now, think about that. If you feel limited in any way, who put the restraints on? Who put them on? You may go, oh, my teacher told me I couldn't sing. My teacher told me I was never going to be a gymnast. My teacher told me this, that, or the other thing. My parents always told me this, you're never going to get any further ahead. Whatever, right? We can say that, but who accepted the limitation? Who accepted it? You did. You did. So about going back to, what is it that I want to create in my experience? This teaching is all about freedom. It says you are free to do whatever you want. Think the greatest thoughts that you want to think and produce in your life whatever it is you want to produce. We're here for you. So Ernest Holmes says, what we draw from it, from God, we must draw through it by the channel of our own minds. So say you're in a pickle. I'm going to skip this. This is just, if there's doubt, all that it means is that you have more faith in what's not and what is working. That's all it is. If you have doubt about something, it just means you have more faith in your limitation than you do of your success. So if you want to produce the life you desire and you don't have it currently, you must change your thinking more in your success than you do in your limitation. Doesn't that sound very elementary? Believe more in your success. I have things I had from my mirror. I just cleaned my mirror yesterday, so I took it off. But I have one that's, that which I seek is seeing me. And when my friend came to visit, he goes, what does that mean? I go, it means that whatever I put out there in the universe that I desire, it's already seeking me. I've already put that, and the connection is happening now. It's in the present. And so he's like, oh, that's pretty interesting. Yeah, that which I seek is seeking me. There's all kinds of affirmations you can say to yourself. Louise, hey, our calendar, our daily calendar has beautiful affirmations. Anybody have her calendar other than me? And, oh yeah, both of us do. Her affirmations are beautiful. Listen to them. I say them to my cat every morning. He gets it. He gets it. He thinks he's the king of the house, but he does get it. So what is doubt? All doubt is a limiting belief, right? It's having more faith in that what will not happen. It's just having more faith in what will not happen. So I've told this thing before, but it just came to me, so I wrote it in my little notes, so I'm gonna share it. So there's a man, and he's fishing. And he's on the bank of a beautiful river. It's a beautiful day, and it's a big, popular fishing hole. So there's a lot of guys fishing. And he's there, and he's an older guy, and he's got all his equipment. And he's casting his rod out there, and he's catching a lot of fish. And there's a young guy up the way that's just kind of learning how to fish, and he's watching this guy go, I'm the master. I'm going to watch this guy. I'm going to figure out how to do it. So he's watching this guy. This guy brings this big trout, and he's like, amazing. The guy looks at the trout and he throws it back. The guy's like, why is he doing this? So he catches another one. It's even bigger than the last one. The trout lets it go. And he's like, is this guy doing catch and release or what's going on here? So he catches one that's about this big, puts it in his basket. Catches another little bitty one. An older guy and goes, you know, I've been watching you all day and I can't figure it out. You caught probably one of the biggest trout I've ever seen in this river. And then these itty bitty ones, I don't get it. He goes, oh, it's simple. Because those ones, that's the size of my frying pan. Guess what? We go around in life and go, are you the size of my frying pan? Not sure. Sometimes we get opportunities that knock on our door and we go, oh, thanks. Anybody ever go, oh, let me take you to lunch. Oh, no, I'm good. I know you're good. I want to take you to lunch. Oh, let me give you this. Oh, thanks, I'm good. No, thank you. And guess what? I know you're good, except you're good. It's about saying yes to the things that come to you. And when people offer you things or want to do stuff for you or whatever, guess what? You've set that intention out there. That's just the universe responding. That's the twigs. You know, the birds with twigs is, remember Columbus was on his ship and he didn't know if land was anywhere near, and then a little birdie landed on the deck with a twig in his mouth and he's like, I know there's land. So when little things like that happen, that's your birds with twigs. That's your birds with twigs that come to you and say, hey, your thinking's in the right road, man. Keep it up. That's where it's going. That's how to make it work. That's how to keep going. You say no to your good, guess what? Universe goes, okay, you know you're good then. You don't want these little things, so you're not ready for the big things. And you want to be ready for the big things, don't you? I do. I do. All has already been given to us. Now think about that. Did you wake up this morning and say, the entire power of the universe is backing every thought in my mind and everything's already been given to me. I welcome it in. That's what we should be doing every morning. With that sense of aliveness, like, yes, man, everything's happening for good. Everything's happening for good. The holdup is our belief in a less than picture of ourselves. I wrote that this morning. I was mad at somebody that I encountered yesterday in the workshop, and I thought, Mary, how long are you going to hold that? How long are you going to be mad at that person? And that's going to affect your whole day. And look at that, it's not working out. So I said, all right, I let it go. I bless that person. And I don't want to hold back anymore on this stuff that isn't working. The power is already within you. You will always receive what you expect. You'll always receive what you expect. So guess what? Great expectations. Have great expectations. We don't pray to get more. We get to pray to know better. To know better. We don't need more. We just need to know better. And then the moment we open up our mind to receive, And the receiving is just knowing that everything's already been given to us. Remember, it's created in thought first and then in form. It's already been given to us. So what we want to do is welcome it in. Put out the welcome mat. Sometimes we say, I'm busy, and we shut the door. Sometimes we say, oh, you know what, I love that, but I'm not ready for that right now. Come back in a couple months. Come back in a few years. Anybody ever do that? Put off your good? Other than me? Okay, I'm going to take that as a yes. We're all quiet about it. We want to create a consciousness that knows that we are greater than the conditions we are experiencing. What are conditions? They're just effects. They're just things that are happening. We want to create a consciousness, a thinking pattern that knows we're greater than anything that we're facing. I love the new commercials that I'm seeing, or I guess they're not commercials, whatever they are, interviewing folks that had survived the fires, and their houses have burned down, their cars are gone and everything. They have this spirit about them that is just, it's just so moving to me. I watched the one last night, I started to cry because there was a couple, I don't know if anybody saw it, I don't even know what channel it was on. I sometimes I have the TV on, I have the sound off, and I'm like, oh, I want to see this. I clicked it on, and the guy was going to propose to his girlfriend that he lived with, and their house burned down. And he had put his ring in the back of his desk. And so he was like, you know, it's gone, it's all gone. So he went back with his girlfriend, and he was like, well, let's look through stuff. I want to look through my desk. And the news person goes, well, did he tell you what he was looking for? He goes, no, I hadn't proposed yet. So he's looking through, and he goes, sure enough, he reaches down and he finds the engagement ring. And so right there at the site, I have goosebumps, right there at the site, he proposes to her. He finds the ring. And I'm like, oh, I love those stories. And he was like, you know, it was just a ray of light for them. It was just such a happy thing. I want to get to this. Where did I write it? Okay. So say you're in a pickle about something. Anybody ever encountering a pickle about anything other than me? Good. I'm loving that. So say you're in a pickle. This thing of how it works is so beautiful. Read chapter 4 and read it a couple times. It's real amazing. It's amazing. I learned new things on page 55 today. Pardon me. Say you're in a pickle. The first thing you do is you realize that the infinite intelligence is supporting you at all times. So you go, ooh, I don't want it to the icky stuff that I'm feeling right now. I want it to support the good stuff, right? So, okay. Now, it's not put a limitation on you. You've put a limitation on you. So you say, I'm going to be open at the top. I'm going to let all the good stuff flow in. I'm going to take my mind off that problem. There's that beautiful book by Emmett Fox, The Golden Key. Take your mind off the problem, put your mind on it, okay? So you take your mind off the problem, you put your mind on God and say, wait a second. I'm in a universe that loves me, it supports me, it wants only the best for me. And it can only do for me as much as I can let it go in. So what am I letting it go in? So it is simply knowing that everything that's happening is simply a result of my consciousness. Maybe not deliberately, maybe you don't understand what's underneath going on there, you know, some old tape of your mom or your dad or your teacher or your whatever telling you to do something or this, that, or the other thing or whatever it is. The next step is you stop and you declare. You declare that the images of limitation are neither person, place, or thing. So here's the pickle. You first say, you know what? God's the only power that exists, not this condition, just God. And I'm one with God. I have that power moving through me. I'm born of that power. No limitation other than the one I've put on it. So I'm taking the stoppers off, and now I go, you know what? Whatever it is I'm facing, there's no person, place, or thing. It has no effect in my life. They have no power. They have no personality, essence. They have no real law to support them. Think about that. God is good. God is my good, from Emma Curtis Hopkins. My good is always there. I don't need to do anything other than know that. Take that stopgap off. And the second I realize that, I'm free from any influence that whatever this condition is saying back to me. See, you get a crazy diagnosis and you know what? Not a word of truth in that. Not a word of truth in that. There's a famous practitioner, and she was in the South. She was an older black woman. She used to sit on her porch and people would come for prayer. And you know what? They'd come and I got this going on, I've got that going on, da-da-da. She'd rock in her chair and say, "'Tain't so." That was her prayer treatment. tain't so. So guess what? I have goosebumps again. Anybody have goosebumps? But other than me, not hot. It's not cold in here. She would say tain't so to the thing. Say tain't so when you're feeling something. Oh, I'm crabby about that guy. Tain't so. Let it go. Make a judgment about tain't so. Not going to do it. Just say no. Say no to it. No person, place, or thing. The law of good, the law of life, does not support anything that is unlike itself. You may be supporting it, but God doesn't. So you say, God, by means of me, is knowing the truth in this situation. You have no power over me. Nothing. You bless that thing and go on. Finally, you begin to acknowledge that you're free of the idea of limitation. You begin to fill your thoughts with the expectation of good, of success. You sense it. You mentally see it in your mind. You visualize it. You feel it. You experience it. You know, when we were, pardon me, when we were doing our workshop, one of the things when you're creating the experience that you want, when you're thinking about your intention, we're thriving in 2025, remember that's our motto. When you're thriving, guess what? Get as rich and as picturesque and as colorful and as joyous and as emotionally feeling a picture in your life as you want. See it, feel it, taste it. I remember my friend told me, gosh, excuse me, the heat comes like right down the funnel right there. A friend of mine told me that when she found her husband, she wrote out a list of every single thing, not details like he needs to be this tall or that tall, but just qualities of what that person had and how they resonated together and how they connected, etc. And she said she put it under her pillow. And she said that she slept with it. She really visualized it. She visualized it happening. She watched a lot of romantic comedies and stuff like that because one of her things was she wanted to laugh. She wanted somebody that she could laugh with because her first husband was a real drip and he wasn't funny at all and did not have a sense of humor. She said, Lordy, I do not want that again. I want somebody I can laugh with all the time. So she did that. She pictured, then she manifested her husband. And she met him in a bar, and she was dancing with her aunts. They were celebrating a party, and he came up. He was from France, and he's from Switzerland. And he came up, and he goes, hey, do you want to dance? And she goes, oh, that was one of my boxes on my wish. I want the guy that wants to dance. She goes, he asked me. She goes, we knew right then. She goes, I knew I was going to marry him. She goes, I knew it right then. So it was adorable. And I thought, wow, sounds real simple, doesn't it? Try doing it for yourself sometime. Try picturing something that you really want to create in your experience, because that's what this is about. It says, you know, this teaching is practical. It's about applying the things that we already know. You know it in your heart. I mean, I'm sure each and every one of you, when you walked through this door, you stayed because you said, oh, this makes sense to me. This is home to me. Right? Anybody else ever feel like that when you walk through these doors or things were going on in this team? You went, wait, this makes sense to me. This is something that says, hey, I have a universe that's for me, that wants all the good things. Refuse to mentally accept any false idea. Any false idea. Refuse to accept it. Boom, you're done. You know what? If you have to go home and write 50 times or 75 times or whatever it is, the positive of it. Release whatever it is you want to release. I love that song, I release and I let go. Okay, this is another one of those days where I had 9 pages. I've talked about 3. Okay, all right, wrap it up. And Buckminster Fuller said this beautiful quote, you never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, you build a new model that makes the existing obsolete. So you don't fight what someone says. You don't fight the creepy relationship or whatever it is. You don't fight it. You just get a better picture. You just get in your idea, in your mind, in your experience, in your thought, and you're magnifying that vibration. You send out what it is that you do desire. We're such experts at what we don't want. I bet everybody here could come up with, if I said, all right, take out your sheets, we're going to write down a list of the things that you don't want. We'd have this great big list, and then what are the things you do want? It might be a little bit smaller. So think about what it is, and that's where you put your energy, because that's where we're directing the law of mind to go. The law of mind goes, oh, you think you're stupid? You think you can't do math? You think you can't do this or that? Or you think you bad relationships or whatever it is, guess what? The universe goes, I fully support you. If that's what you think, that's what you're going to get. That's what you're going to get. So guess what? Change your thinking, change your life. Change where you're putting your energy. God can't create the great relationship, the great health, prosperity for us if our thoughts are not supporting the vision that we have. God can't create it. Guess what happens? Correcting the law. God obeys. We put out the thought, the objective mind puts out the thought, the subconscious mind obeys. It doesn't make any decisions, it simply obeys what it is that we put out there in the world. So how it works is that we get what we want by becoming it. We get what we want by becoming it first, and then in our experience. But we have to have the thought first. We have to have the thought. Think kind thoughts. Think thoughts that lead you to beautiful understandings of yourself, that you feel enriched. So be in your life, support you. Be in your thoughts, in your readings, watching your TV, or whatever you do. Be in places that absolutely support you so that you can have the most fulfilling and joyous life that you were meant to have. And so it is. And now our guest artist, Susan, again.